Da 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 da. What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity to do a little bit of a bedtime live tonight, a bedtime podcast. Come in late, on my day off, finishing everything that I wanted to accomplish for my set of days off, and I still have one more day left. So I'm adding an extra few little projects in getting ready for this trip that I'm taking in the next couple of weeks. Oh my goodness, it's happening fast, and I think already that I am falling behind. I'm so grateful actually that I thought to give myself those extra 4 days early. I was kind of beating myself up because usually I start packing for this trip like 2 or 3 months before I go on the trip. But in this moment, I'm having this. I don't know. It's feeling like my apartment is not big enough for me. Uh, I understand as my circumstances change, as things get better for me, that my living circumstances will improve too. One of those goals that I'm setting for myself this year is to move on, to find a new place. But in doing that, I want to take advantage of this amazing job that I have where I can purchase beautiful things, right? At fraction of the cost. And I want to do that now as I have these beautiful things come into the store that I need. I only need a few more things, but I would like to get my hands on those before I move, right? Because who knows what the next months bring in store for me or the next couple of years, and having this plan for myself that I'm only going to buy thrifted, or I'm only going to furnish my home or furnish myself is my clothes and my needs with thrifted used items or gifted items. It's the only way I can get some new things in, because obviously the technology and what I do in social media, it requires, right? I can't use some old equipment, those old 8-track video machines. I can't. I have to be on top of it to the best of my ability. I have a Pixel. It takes amazing footage. I have been using my phones as a camera, well, ever since I have been on YouTube. And the Pixel 8 that I got this year, I'm pretty excited because the camera on this phone is been improved, and the speakers themselves, I tell you, these speakers on the Pixel 8 are like Bose speakers. They're so amazing. But I do need good equipment. So one of those tasks, because I caught up on everything, I thought, one behind me here is, wow, this is camera gear and microphones and lenses and stabilizers and monopods and tripods, and you probably don't even know what this stuff that I'm describing is, but it's part of the camera equipment that I use in creating some of this content. Very easy just for me to hit that live button and just go into flow. But the challenge is in the creation, and I am a creator, telling a story in the filming that I do when I go out on the road, right? That I want my footage to be good, and I want my footage to be entertaining, relaxing, and calming for the system, but more importantly, that people walk away with a little bit of insight or a little bit of food for thought or just feeling good about life in general, right? So tomorrow I've got a lot here. I'm not taking it all. I'm going to take what I think that I might need, right? But make sure it's all packed. It's all charged, right? I have lots of battery packs and stuff like that. They'll all need to be charged up. But it makes it so that I get this much closer to leaving. And also because I want to minimalize at this point of right these trips that I do and I have been doing for decades now. In fact, today my Google Photos sent me back 11 years ago to one of these September trips that I did, and it brought back such amazing memories, so much fun. And even back then, I was doing these trips by myself. But this one trip that I did this 1 year, I took some people that I worked with me because I always wanted people to experience what I was experiencing when I went out on these trips. And I do believe, I was looking to make content for my YouTube channel and stuff, but we got so involved in having such a fantastic time. And at that point, I was still urban exploring. I was still exploring abandoned farms, abandoned churches, abandoned schools. And, the content of me being out in the bush and camping and road tripping, it had not yet pivoted to that, right? And it's okay to pivot because I do believe what I am doing right now with my brand is so much more beneficial to me. Number one, most importantly, it's so important to me, but also in the lessons that I've taken in the past half a dozen years or so, it's in my understanding of what I can contribute to the world. That, my life did not just have to be a beginning and an end. It just didn't have to be an existence. That it could be something magnificent that I created, that I dreamed up, and in my own persistence, my own persistence. And despite myself and despite whatever was pushing up against me, that I found a little bit of happiness for myself, right? Life is not always full of joy and full of happiness, and that's the truth. And that's not really mine. It's actually something I picked up on a lesson this afternoon. Let me have a sip of my coffee before we go on. We're having a little bit of a bedtime chit chat. I left it right to the end because I wanted to wash the dishes. Nothing better than waking up in the morning and waking up to everything being done so that tomorrow, whatever I accomplish, whatever I do, it's going to be sprinkles and right gravy. It's going to be extra, and that makes me good. That makes me happy. It does it, right? Again, it's what we were talking about yesterday in this word, right? Of happiness. That how I get my happiness is from accomplishing things, right? Accomplishing things means, that I do have value and being highly sensitive and empathic, right? A lot of our self worth, I would have to say 95% of our self worth, I'm just throwing a number out there in all honesty, you guys, is I'm not scientific in any way, right? And when it comes to facts, I do love facts. But in that absorption, I don't always get those facts down perfectly. And in fact, it's why I have my notebooks, why I have my pen sitting here, so that when I come across or something comes across my path that is impactful, that I can jot it down. So this week we got this word happiness. And I would truly like to go back to this video that I watched this afternoon. It was content put out there by Ed Milet, and he was interviewing a gentleman. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but this gentleman was kind of explaining happiness, that you know how for most of us we're always in the pursuit of happiness, right? And I thought about it a little bit, and I says, maybe people are out there and they are in that pursuit of happiness, right? That little bit of joy, that little bit of excitement. But that thing is, that joy and that excitement is not happiness, right? We just put it all into the same pool because it feels good. It feels fun. It feels exciting, right? It feels positive. And so we put it into the same big pile in that. This gentleman, Ed Milet, was talking to in his interview. He was saying, it's not realistic to think that we should be happy all the time, that we don't really grow in learning, right? When it comes to happiness. Happiness brings us content. Happiness will, right? It'll let us get our guards down, right? Because we're happy. It brings lots of amazing positivity out there, right? Having that happy. But the thing is, it's not realistic to think that you could do that 24/7, 365 days a year. And if we are chasing happy, we are going to be set up for a great disappointment, because life will show us differently, right? Life will show us the struggles, the letdowns, the grief, the heartbreak. It'll show us those things, right? So for me, what I always felt that I was chasing was that little bit of freedom from the constraint of everything that I felt that was holding me back from being happy, right? So I was looking, in all actuality, for the freedom to make my own choice, right? In the programming, right, I feel happy when I am accomplishing, when I'm getting things done, when I'm working hard, when things are clean and organized, when I'm a good girl. That's my self-worth. That's me looking to the outside for approval. That's me looking to appease my self-worth by making myself feel better, by looking for somebody else's approval in what I'm doing. I'd like to be free of that, right? And so for me, it's always been in the pursuit of my freedom, in the pursuit of being able to make choices for myself. And so when I make a stinky choice, a choice that didn't work out so well, and I make those all the time, really bitter ones sometimes that just make my whole day, my whole week, my whole month just crash, right? And I have to hurry, scurry to find resolution or to feel better about it. But that's the thing. In that hurry, scurry, and in that understanding that I've got to fix something, I learn. I learned something. So we learn when, and he was talking about this too. We learn so much when we fail. Hello, Nancy. I know that's you. You and your hearts. Yeah. Talk about little stinkers. That's my little stinker, Nancy. I saw your I keep wanting to call it platform. What do you call layout? She calls it layout. Um, Nancy likes trains and she's doing a layout. She's building a town and railway tracks and she's built mountains and now she's laying down the tracks on her layout. It looks like it's a really gonna take you a long time with this layout. Do you think it'll be ready by Christmas, Nancy? Do you think it'll be ready by Christmas? It looks like there's a lot of work to be done in that. But I hope it makes you happy, that work, right? It makes you happy in doing and accomplishing what you're doing. Oh, good, good, Nancy. But do a good job. Don't rush it. Take your time, right? The more time that you take in doing a good job, it also will allow you to save up more money because I suspect doing that layout's going to cost you a pretty penny too. So if you do things a little bit slower, maybe you could give yourself a little bit more time to save up for some of those pieces that you really do want. Aww. But that's the thing. It's always in that progression, Nancy, that it things get better, don't they? Right? In the failings and making the mistakes and getting frustrated with ourselves and then catching ourselves for getting frustrated and then chastising ourselves and then sorting ourselves out and then trying again and possibly failing again and then going through that process again. But then finally, right? Something sinks in and we get it and we get to take a couple of steps forward. Oh my goodness. What an amazing feeling, right? What an amazing feeling that was. I took a bunch of notes. And, when we say it's in our failures sometimes that the best lessons come forward and or even come to the surface. And I was watching Ed Milet's interview today and I was just taking notes because guess what he was talking about? He was talking about happiness on the very same day that I picked happiness. He had posted, and the interview was all about happiness. And I was just taking notes like a mad woman. Half an hour ago, right? I was doing my final clean, my final little bit of good job, Cindy, you accomplished today, right? And I wasn't missing out. I was taking in lessons. I got the laundry done. I connected with my sisters. I got some house cleaning done. I got some work done in getting ready for this trip that I'm taking in a couple of weeks, and it's my big trip of the year. It's the one thing. It's my reward, and in that reward, I'm rewarding it. But in rewarding it, I'm putting more work into it, more effort into it, right? Accomplishing, knowing that I'm going to feel good about it. It's going to make me happy in rewarding my experience, right? How amazing that I'm on these platforms, that I have this brand, that I can go off and have this amazing holiday. And then maybe people out there who can't afford these holidays. And I tell you, if I can afford a holiday like I've just created, right? And I created, right? It hasn't manifested yet, but I am ahead of game, and I am working, and I am compacting the itinerary, and I'm trying to work out any kinks and be on top of the kinks even before they're even a thought that of a possibility, and resolving them right away, because when I'm on that trip, right, the less hiccups, the better. Today, what I was doing with my trip, and it does make me happy, right? What I'm doing with my brand, it makes me happy, and it's so much a reward. How can the work that I'm putting into what I want to do, right? How can it make me feel this way, right? It's after midnight right now. I am bagged. It was my day off, and I got so much done. But I did it in a relaxing fashion. I did it taking in my lessons, and right, taking in some of the views in my big picture window here, even in getting the laundry done and bumping into the few people in the hallway and having small conversations, right? It's all in that pool, and we think that we should be in the pursuit of happiness all the time. Why not just be happy in the comfortableness? How about just being content and happy that there are no hiccups, disasters, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, somebody yelling at you, you tripping over yourself, or tripping over someone, or tripping over something else? What about being happy for where you're not at? Because we know each one of us could have been somewhere else, right? And without any of these lessons, without the pursuit and accomplishing, there's no way that I would have recognized that this was a part of my happiness. This would have been the pursuit of my happiness, but not the pursuit of my freedom to make the choice for myself as to what makes me happy, right? Rather than being in the pursuit of being the buffer, being the comfortable, being the scapegoat, whipping boy. Oh, you could put so many different labels to it, right? I'd much rather find my own happiness than somebody else dictating to me the ceiling of my happiness, because my entire life, there wasn't even a ceiling. I was doing a belly crawl. For sure, I was doing a belly crawl, because I, that sense of entitlement, that sense that I wasn't not welcome, but not capable, right? Not capable of accomplishing what I set out to accomplish, right? Maybe I wasn't accomplishing because I was in the pursuit of happiness, right? The pursuit of happiness. Happiness comes as the reward, doesn't it? Ah, Oh, that's good to hear. Oh, absolutely amazing to hear. For the most part, Nancy, I do believe I am that optimist too, right? I have never been really truly in the pursuit of happiness, but maybe in the pursuit of not being unhappy. And maybe that's why I pursue the freedom, why I chase after and work at accomplishing, because that's what makes me comfortable. It's what makes me happy right now because, you know, it wasn't even an option for me in my mind in any way, right? 6 years ago, 10 years ago, right? Wasn't even a thought. Yeah. Right? Right? There was no time for thoughts. Now I make that time. Right? Right? This is what the lessons have brought into my life. And that makes me happy. Right? That accomplishing that movement forward. I'm not getting stuck in my next round. Right? The next time around, I've got this. I'm going to meet my potential. Right? Even in this life right now, like I said yesterday, right? It's going to be a toughie meeting what I was set out to accomplish, but that's not going to stop me in that pursuit of it 100%. Why? Because it makes me happy, right? That's a purpose. That's something to achieve. That's something to munch on. That's something to keep me going. That's something that makes me smile. Just like Nancy did coming into my live today, 100%. Oh, you're gonna have that layout looking so amazing. Yeah, keep posting as you're getting the work done so we can see what you're doing there, Nancy, with that train set. I can imagine it's just gonna be absolutely beautiful come Christmas. Absolutely beautiful. Uh, if you try and you believe, give the effort, you can do anything. 100%. I believe that. I believe that, Nancy. I just wish more people believe that. And if you knew Nancy, you would be absolutely dazzled and amazed by that insight that she's just offered up to us as a gift, right? Because we all struggle, right? We all struggle. But if we can just muster up a little bit of love for ourselves, a little bit of trusting and belief for ourselves, we can accomplish anything. And maybe you'll feel a little bit like me and a little bit like Nancy, right? In that feeling good, right? Feeling good. Like truly feeling good, where there is no guilt and shame surfacing because you dared to smile, that you dared to feel content with how life was divvying out to you, right? 100%. 100%. I said that a few times today, didn't I? I must have heard it in one of the lessons today that I'm saying it a few times. You guys, it is like today. I accomplished. I am going to give myself that credit tonight, and I'm going to just get in my pajamas now, wash my face, be happy with what I accomplished on these set of days off, and I still have one day off. And I think I'm going to fill it with some fun. What do you think? Right? Have a true day off. Yeah, I'll feel really good with what I got done. You guys, that's my good cheer. Keep those pictures posted. Oh, but what I was going to say on all those notes that I made today on happiness, because this live would have been right on the mark 100%, because I was ready to go on that. But being the sift that my brain is at this time of night, I knocked my coffee over. And it was funny because earlier today I said, I got it in these notebooks. I can't keep them forever, but they have such amazing insights in them, such amazing food for thought, things that I jot down on them, and I just don't want to throw them away, but I have to. There was one time in a year I filled a Rubbermaid container up with these notes that I did in these little school scribblers. And that's the truth. And I said that would never happen again. That at the end of every completion of every notebook, that I had to check it out. I tried. I saved a couple of pages out of those notebooks because they were just so amazing. Oh my goodness. Let me read you this. I think it was amazing. I don't know how I wrote this down, but I did. So I am kind and I am accommodating. It's important to be accommodating because not all of us have the same strengths, right? Not all of us are equal in the lessons or in the pursuit of the lessons or even ready for the lessons, right? Or even awake for the lessons. And that's the truth. I am kind and I am accommodating. I am as fair as I am firm in my connection to this earth. My desire to be the best human being that I can possibly be, that I am also a support system to myself, right? And I'm dragging myself along for this ride. It doesn't really have a choice, but in my accommodations, because I am accommodating, right? That I'm taking into consideration those other parts of me and trying to add a little sprinkle of happiness and fun and landscape of interest to those other parts of me that I feel might be just as interested in it as I am, right? That I am also a support system to myself, right? Also, that's also trying to make some movement in its will to create in a more connective existence with me, right? And I'm trying to do the same thing. And how good I do, right? I don't know. I do the best that I can. And only the lessons and in the experience of sharing it here, well, I guess the judgment is out there for everybody else, right? But I couldn't just throw that away, right? Like I right those brain cells. They like sometimes they spark and I get an insight, right? Like this one, I tore this one out too. Faith without action is a hindrance in everything. Listen to that again. Faith without action is a hindrance in everything, right? Lots of times we know what we're supposed to do. Lots of times we have that answer. Lots of times we know we should jump in and defend others when they can't defend themselves. And yet sometimes we stand back as spectators and watch injustices happen to the people that we care about. we have that faith, we have that understanding. But without that action, without getting out of our comfort zones, and that's not mine, right? It is a hindrance in everything because we were given that insight for a reason. And this is where I'm kind of struggling a little bit right now. That's why I tore the page out, right? Because I do have beliefs, I do have understandings, I do have faith in what I'm doing and what I'm trying to get across, right? But without that actual action of just jumping in and doing it, it's only a hindrance. It's a hindrance to everything because that message just isn't getting out there. How could I throw this stuff away? I just can. And there was lots and lots and lots and lots. But I only managed to save 2 pieces because everything else was absolutely soaked in coffee. The computer's fine, so that's why I leave my laptop on a bunch of books. It's for these moments when I tip over my coffee and destroy things. I have no idea how many keyboards I have gone through from spilling coffee over them. The last 2 times I spilled coffee, like spilled a whole cup of coffee over my keyboards, you know what I did? I took those keyboards to the kitchen sink and I ran them underwater. And then I stood the keyboards up against the wall and I turned the fan on them and left them overnight. And they worked. And they worked. You just have to make sure that everything is dry before you plug anything in. 100%. Okay, you guys. That's my good cheer. I'll be back tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. Probably won't be in the afternoon because I think I'm going to do something fun tomorrow. Something that makes me happy. Oh, I'm going off with my sister Alice tomorrow. It's thrifting day. We get to go thrifting. Yay. I like thrifting. Everybody, have a great night. Bye-bye.